Assalamu alaikum, marhaban. Welcome again to Arabic with Dima. This is our last video on the alphabets, and we will be learning the last two consonants, ha and a, and we will be discussing how to read and write each one. So the first one is ha, 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 ha. And the other one is al-hamza, and we pronounce it a, a, a. So let's see how the articulation happens for each one. Firstly, ha, it happens in the deepest part of the throat and the furthest away from the mouth. It's closest to the chest. Ha, ha, ha. And it's just like the H sound in English. Ha. Now let's practice with the vowels. Ha, hu, he. These are the long vowels, and now the short ones. Ha, hu, and he. Now the hamza is also a glottal stop, we can say, and it's articulated in the deepest part of the throat. A. And it's very similar to the pause between uh-oh. It's actually the same. Again, let's practice reading with the vowels. A, u, e. Now the short ones. A, u, and e. Now let's move to writing. We're going to discuss writing each one alone and within a word altogether because they are related. Now let's check out how we can write the ha letter. So basically, based on the positioning of the ha, which can be in 3 different places, either at the beginning of a word, in the middle, or at the end, it can be written in 3 different shapes. So let's start with when we have it at the beginning or at the start of a word. So basically you're going to start with like this, which looks like a triangle, and at the corner of it, the left one, you're gonna make a small circle and continue with a straight short line to the left, this way. An example would be haram. As you can see here, it's at the beginning. Or another example is hirra. Moving on to when we have it at the middle of a word, it can be written in 2 different shapes, this one or this one, but I personally prefer this one because it's easier. Basically, you can do it, but with starting with a straight line, and then you're gonna go down, like it looks like a part of a triangle, but it's upside down, and then you're gonna continue with a straight line to the left. This way, again, straight line, this shape, and then to the left. This is an example, fahd, as you can see. Now, when it's at the end of a word, it can also be written in 2 different ways or 2 different shapes. That depends on whether it's connected to the preceding letter or not. Let's see first when it's connected. You'll do it this way. Straight line, and then you're gonna go up and small circle. It looks like the 9 number. An example is wajh. You can look at it here. It's very easy. Now, when it's not connected to the preceding letter, you're just gonna draw a small circle this way. Usually, it's after these letters. Da, dha, ra, zain, alif, and waw, because these do not accept a letter connecting to them after. So an example is muntazah. As you can see here, we have zain before it ha, that's why they're not connected, so a circle. Now let's check out how we can write hamza. Now the hamza can be written this way. You can start with a curve, and then you can go to the left with a straight line. Now this is how we do it separately. Now in order to write it within a word, it can be based on 3 positions as usual. Let's start with when it's at the beginning. Now we're gonna name it, okay? Based on each place, we're going to name the hamza. So when it's at the beginning, first, it can be two things. It can either be hamzat qata', which means it's not connected, or hamzat wasl, which means it's connected. Now, first of all, let's see how it's written. If it's hamzat qata', this means we have to write the hamza on alif, and based on each haraka, a, o, e. Yani we're gonna make, or we're gonna draw the haraka on each one, okay? Now, why is it called hamzat qata'? It's basically because we are going to pronounce it, the hamza, we will pronounce it whether we connect with speech or we disconnect. For example, ألعب وأشاهد. Here I've started with ألعب. It's hamzat qata', okay, and I pronounced it. And it's not preceded by anything. يعني I started with it. Now وأشاهد, it's connected to the previous speech, and I also here pronounced the hamza. أشاهد. Now hamzat al-wasl will be written this way, also based on each haraka, a, o, e, but without the hamza. طبعا we're going to pronounce it only if we start. So if it's connected to the previous speech, we're not gonna pronounce the hamza, but if we start with it, we will pronounce the hamza. Let's take an example. اسمي شهد. Here we started with it, I said اسمي. Now أنا اسمي شهد. Here the word اسمي, which means my name, it's connected to the previous speech, so I didn't say the hamza is in the middle or at the end. Here we're gonna follow the same rule. طبعا each one is named something. Middle, it's named متوسطة, همزة متوسطة. The end, it's named متطرفة. Now the rule says you're gonna check the حركة of the hamza and the letter preceding. Now you're gonna have to follow this diagram. The kasra is the strongest حركة. It's followed by ضمة. ضمة is stronger than فتحة, and فتحة is stronger than سكون. Now if the kasra wins, you're gonna write it on nabira, which means seat, like this. Now if the ضمة wins, write it on واو, فتحة, ألف, and سكون on the line. يعني not on anything. Let's take an example on each. So firstly, when it's on a nabira, for example, the word بئر, as you can see here, ba is kasra, has kasra, and the hamza is sukun. The kasra is stronger than the sukun, that's why we wrote it on a seat or nabira. Now su'al, we have fatha and dhamma. Dhamma is stronger, that's why we drew it on waw. Ra's, we have fatha and sukun. Fatha is stronger, so on alif. And lastly, du, we have two sukoons, so on the line. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe for more, and وداعاً.